Alright, let's look at how do you run Django's tests in Docker environment. Now, to be able to do that, first of all, install Docker on your laptop if you haven't already, laptop, computer, whatever it is you're using. So just search for Docker install, and then whatever is your operating system. For me, it is Mac, so I'm searching Docker install Mac. So it says install Docker desktop on Mac. Now I can follow these instructions over here as I have, or because I already have Docker installed, I'll just run Docker. And once Docker is running, so currently it says Docker desktop is starting. Right, so now it says Docker desktop is running. So I have Docker running right now. So if I open my terminal, let me deactivate this virtual environment. Let me go back to my home directory. So if I do Docker version, it says Docker version, whatever is the current build, latest version running. So I have Docker running on my laptop. Now for the purpose of this video, I'm deliberately not going to give very detailed instructions, because there are very good detailed instructions given directly by one of the Django fellows, Carlton Gibson. So I would recommend you go to his GitHub page. So just on github.com, you search for Carlton Gibson. This is the person. Now he is a Django fellow and a contributor to Django project and several other projects related to Django and otherwise. Now in the list of repositories that he has, search for Django contribution US, DCUS. Now it should take you to DCUS 2019 sprints. Once you come to this page, you can also go directly to this URL if you want, but I would recommend going it that way because it's fairly easy to remember. You go to running the unit tests. You basically scroll down to using Docker. It says an alternative to use Docker, we have django-docker-box project for that. This option is particularly good if you want to work on the ORM because it lets you test against supported databases, right? Now what we do is we go to this particular page, Django-docker-box, and we follow the quick start instructions over here. So it first says to set the Django path variable, which points to the root of Django repository. So if I do echo $Django path, in my case it's already set, so for me it's this particular path, right? And now we literally need to just run one command that will automatically go ahead and run the test for us. Now this is showing to use SQLite as the database, but if you want to try with a different database, let's say Postgres, MySQL, MariaDB or something else, by all means go ahead and try them. I'm going to use SQLite because I'm not doing anything funky with the database testing right now. I'm okay to use the most easiest one. So if I use this particular command, now make sure you have Docker and Docker Compose installed in your environment to be able to run this. And you can check that they are installed by using Docker Compose version. It should show the version. If you don't have installed, I will not give instructions on this, but you can just look up for Docker Compose install and then just your OS name. I'm going to say Mac, and it will say install Docker Compose. Just follow the instructions on the screen and it should be fairly helpful. You should not have any particular issues with that. But if you do, feel free to comment in the video and we'll look into that. Okay, so let's run the command. So Docker Compose run SQLite. Now notice in this case, I'm not installing any requirements, I'm not activating any particular virtual environment, I'm not doing anything. I'm just passing the path to the local Django version and I'm saying, hey, go and run all the tests on that version. Django Docker-box will go ahead and take care of all of that for me. Oh, sorry. Okay, I need to first go to that directory. I need to go to Django Docker-box directory. Right, so I have django-docker-box. I have it in a separate folder called .everything else because I don't really use it much. But yeah, if you don't have it, use the clone or download button, use HTTPS and clone it. How do you clone it? Copy this particular URL and say git clone. Actually, let's go ahead and clone it. We'll do git. I do git because I keep all my source code in the repository, in the directory called git, but you can use whatever directory you want. So we'll do git clone and then the URL over here, https github.com and so on. So django-docker-box URL, and we'll press enter, and that's it. In a moment it's done. So now if I do, I have django-docker-box. So I'll go to django-docker-box and ensure that my Django path variable is already set. It's already set. How do you set it? You can add it to your startup file. In my case, it's .bashrc, home directory .bashrc. So this is my startup file. I'll not open this because there's a lot of details regarding my local environment, but you can just go ahead and add export Django path equals whatever is the path to your Django directory on your laptop, on your computer, like literally this one line to your startup file, and it should work. If you don't want to get into the mess of setting this environment variable, you can also set it in the runtime by setting it like this. So you could say Django path equals this, the path, and then just run docker compose, basically the command to run the test as called over here, right? So with this, but you will have to ensure that you set this every single time you run this command. If you add it once in your bash startup file or whatever is the shell startup file you're using, then you don't have to do this again and again, right? In this case, if you do it again and again, it's totally fine to do it this way. Right, so initially it will take some time because it will pull all the Docker images and everything for you. In my case, because it was already there, it did it fairly fast and the tests started to run. So now the tests are running. It's using 8 processes because I have 8 cores on my laptop. Now this will take some time, but you can see it's running 8 tests in parallel because it's creating 8 database cloning instances. And once the tests are done, you'll have the results. So basically with this, you can bypass the whole setup on your laptop if you want. I would not recommend that, but you can do it if you want. The reason I would not recommend is because it's always good to be able to do the steps on your own local environment rather than using a Docker container, because your local environment is what you're going to use for development purposes. If you are totally relying on the Docker environment that you're using to run tests to also for the development purpose, then it's totally fine to use Docker environment all the time. But if you're using your local environment, I would say you should be comfortable running tests in your local environment because it gives you the flexibility and ease of debugging in case of any failures. Okay, so we'll stop the video here. Thanks for watching. In the next one, we will finally look at how do you make the code changes and create the pull request with Django. Thanks for watching this one and stay tuned for the next video.